Hey everyone, I finished watching the next episode of Street Sharks, Shark Fight. Not a particularly creative name for the episode, I guess it's accurate. There's sharks and there's a fight, like every episode. I don't know how they picked out some of the titles. These were weird, weird titles. Okay, anyway. Synopsis. At the beginning, the sharks are recapping a bunch of the stuff that Paradigm's done up to this point and cataloging it onto a computer disk. And let's see, Slamu and Jab are practicing boxing for some reason. Okay. And then Rox shows up from a few episodes ago. The rock star who got turned into a shark. He tells the sharks that he's going to be attending an awards show in Fission City, and Ripster gives him the computer disc and says to play this at the end of his show. So then Rox holds a press conference to tell a whole bunch of people about he's going to reveal who was behind all the evil gene slamming schemes that have been a thing in the city for the last couple of weeks. Slash and Slopster see this on TV. Oh, and there's a funny bit here. Uh, when Slash and Slopster they're watching TV at Paradigm's base and they see rocks, we see Kilmari in the background, and he's juggling with his darts. I don't know. I thought that was a funny little bit, and it's a cute little touch. So then, um, Paradigm, he gives Killamari some things that it changes what they look like. At first, they look like slices of cucumber or like sushi or something, and then they turn into like half-cut avocados or lemons or something. I don't know, whatever they are. Killamari eats them, and it makes them grow giant and go crazy and start to attack Paradigm. And then Slash and Slopster drag Killamari away. They set him loose outside. Paradigm says that uh, he gave what was it? He gave Killamari hostility genes. Okay. Was that necessary? It's weird because it doesn't really pay off or anything in the episode. Whatever. So then, Rox is at that hotel he was at in the other episode, Land's End. He's rehearsing for the show later. The Sharks come by to visit. They give him the computer, or he already has the computer disc. And then suddenly Slash, Slopster, and Killamari all break in, working together. And Killamari doesn't really seem to be behaving all that differently than he's ever done before. Like, he's a little bigger than before, but, like, even that's happened. Like, the characters don't always stay perfectly on model. Sometimes, like, they're a little bigger or smaller than each other. So I really don't know what the point of that whole plot point was. Um, as they're fighting, the whole hotel just collapses in on itself. The manager is all freaked out about this, and I think, let's see, this is what convinces him the sharks are bad guys. And then, then there's a weird animation error here. The sharks all climb out of the rubble, and then Streaks starts talking, but it's Jab's voice. So Jab's voice comes out of Streaks' mouth here for some reason. It's always so strange when that happens, because they each have such unique voices. It's so weird to have the wrong character be talking. Let's see. Ripster comes out of the rubble and tells him he can't find the computer disk. It's lost. And then we see that Killamari found it, and he's given it to Paradigm. Then later on, Paradigm is in his office, and I think he's like trying on like adjustments and additions to his body armor. We see this big helmet come on that has like this big like shark teeth design on it. He does actually wear that later on in the show. I can't remember if it's like the next episode or if it's quite a ways down the line, but either way, it's a neat little bit of foreshadowing. And then the manager of the hotel comes to see him. Oh, the manager's name is Mr. Cunnyworth. Huh, that's a weird name. Anyway, he tells Paradigm about rocks and the origin of rocks. And I was really surprised, like, how much they actually remembered from the previous episode. Like, he says his name, his human name, Melvin Krasnick. He talks about, let's see, he came to the hotel, and then he left a shark, and he never saw Melvin again. And then, was his Paradigm says, it must have been Bolton. It's a pretty impressive little, like, bit of continuity, like, to remember. Because most shows, they don't seem to remember continuity from episode to episode like this. And, like, I've been watching, like, the recent Power Rangers seasons. Like, I've I've been watching Dino Fury as it was coming out, and the continuity in that show was just horrible. They don't remember anything about, like, anything that happens. Like, a major thing will happen, like, a major villain from the past is revived, they don't defeat him at the end, and then they just don't mention it at all for the rest of the season. It's so sloppy, and a lot of shows, like, American, like, kids' action cartoons, they weren't really about continuity, so there would often be, like, little mistakes here and there, like in He-Man and She-Ra, the old 80s ones, there were little mistakes here and there. Like in She-Ra, I think there was an episode where, what was going on? Yeah, I don't remember what it was. Oh, now I remember. It was Adam and Adora were, what was it? They had practiced gymnastics or something before they had been separated. They were separated as babies. How were they practicing gymnastics as babies? So anyway, back to the actual Street Sharks thing. Let's see. Oh yeah, Paradigm tells Mr. Cunneyworth, "Thank you for telling me. Oh, and without your hotel, you're probably out of a job and seeking employment, aren't you? Come back and see me later." And that's a neat little bit of foreshadowing for an event that comes up later. So then, let's see. Where am I in my notes here? Okay. Rox is rehearsing for his show, and he gives a stagehand his, the new disc that, let's see, because the old one was lost, Dr. Lena put together a new one, they gave it to him, and I guess they finished it in time. So then he gives the new disc to a stagehand to play it after the concert's over. And, and this is a neat little thing, the announcer of the show is the comic book guy from the previous episode with Rox. That was another neat little nod to continuity. I really like having, like, little recurring things like that. The fact that they actually remember that there's characters that exist and things that happen. That's a cool thing. So then, the Seviots show up to fight with the Sharks on stage, and for some reason the Sharks are all in boxing gloves, practicing boxing. And then the Seviots show up, and Killamari has boxing trunks and gloves on. Why? Why is boxing a theme in this episode? All I can guess is, like, were there going to be toys of the Sharks, like, wearing boxing gloves? Like, I think I remember seeing a toy of Slam-Moo with boxing gloves, but I never saw any others. So it's really weird. Why wouldn't they just make a whole episode about boxing? Why would it just be shoved into whatever? So then there's a really big fight scene while the concert goes on. And while the concert's going on, Paradigm sneaks out, he sneaks to the roof, then he sneaks back in, goes to this, like, sound room or something, he pops out the disc, puts in his own altered disc, and then sneaks back out, rejoins the crowd, and, let's see. Oh yeah, then there's a really weird bit with the boxing thing. Slam-Moo and Killamari have this, like, big epic boxing match, and I don't know where it's coming from. Like, was this something dramatic that was built to or something? Did they have some kind of specific rivalry? Because it's not in the show. Were they planning to do comics or something that expanded on this? Like, there were Street Shark comics. I don't have all of them. I only have, like, I think 3 of them. And 2 of them are just adaptations of the original first couple episodes. Later on, there was, like, I don't know what the comic was about. Something about, like, Atlanteans or something attacking Earth. I don't remember. Whatever. Back to this thing. The curtain comes down. Just as the Sharks defeat the Seviots retreat, and Rox goes to accept his award, and then he gives the okay to play the disc, and then the disc, like, plays an introduction of him telling Fission City, I'm going to reveal to you who's been attempting to gene slam our population. It was, and then the mayor of Fission City, and then a picture of the mayor pops up. And that's the only thing that pops up. And Rox just stands there. So, he can't just say, this was tampered with, this isn't right, or he can't talk? He can't address the audience himself? What was the point of having the disc play if all it is just him talking? It doesn't play any of the evidence that the Sharks had assembled, and at the beginning of the episode, like, we see what was on the disc. We see, let's see, there was the footage of, like, the hologram of the kid drinking the tampered water, and then he turns into like a dragon monster, and there's like clips of other things. What happened to all that? Why is it just a picture of the mayor? Why doesn't Rock say anything? Whatever. Back at Shark Central, you got Shark Central now and not Shark HQ. Whatever. Let's see. The Sharks make a plan to clear the mayor's name and to place the blame on Paradigm. The end. And that was kind of a cool thing that it just ends there without, like, the Sharks having a win. It's kind of cool that they didn't win this episode. It was Paradigm who succeeded in his goal. Like, he's protected himself, and now, like, the mayor is the one maybe in trouble. Maybe it's Rox if the population doesn't believe Rox. Then again, we don't see any of that. We don't see, like, how the people react. They're surprised, but we don't see, like, what happens afterwards. The Sharks don't even say, like, whether or not people believed what was on the disc, and whether or not Rox actually tried to, like, fix things. Anyway, it's an okay episode, flawed, but it's pretty passable. I did like the nods to continuity. That was really strong. Oh, and there's an interesting thing. Slopster in this episode has almost no lines. He's got like 2 stock lines. Sharks, and then there's like a when he gets thrown or something. And let's see. Looking through my notes here. Oh, one of the other things. This episode, like, really brilliantly sets up a whole bunch of stuff that'll pop up later. Like Mr. Cunnyworth, Rox, the mayor being incriminated, and Paradigm trying on that new stuff for his armor. That was all really cool. I really liked all that. It was really clever, like, how they were trying to do the show and build things up. Too bad they couldn't build up, like, the boxing thing. Like, I think must be that was why they were doing it at the beginning. Like, to try and set it up, like, oh, the Sharks are interested in boxing now. That's why the boxing thing pops up later, and why Rox's concert has a boxing theme to it. But it all just comes right out of nowhere. There's no reason for it. Like, Rox wasn't shown to be, like, a big boxing fan or anything. That would have actually been kind of a clever thing, is in the original episode, what if Rox, like, had an offhand mentioned or something that he was a big fan of boxing? Like, I don't know, maybe he had 1 or 2 lines where he mentioned a boxing match? I don't think he did. Whatever, anyway. Okay episode. It was a good one. Hope you enjoyed this. See ya.